The Large Hadron Collider, and a theory about fate. More than a year after an explosion of sparks, soot, and frigid helium shut it down. The world's biggest and most expensive physics experiment, known as the Large Hadron Collider, is poised to start up again. In December, theoretically, if all goes well, protons will start smashing together in an underground racetrack outside Geneva in a search for forces and particles that supposedly reigned during the first trillionth of a second of the Big Bang. Then it will be time to test one of the most bizarre and revolutionary theories in science. Not just about extra dimensions of space-time, dark matter, or even black holes that could eat the Earth. No, it's about the notion that the troubled collider is being sabotaged by its own future. A pair of otherwise distinguished physicists have suggested that the hypothesized Higgs boson, which physicists hope to produce with the collider, might be so abhorrent to nature that its creation would ripple backward through time and stop the collider before it could make one, like a time traveler who goes back in time to kill his grandfather. This is the idea put forward in a series of papers with titles like Test of Effect from Future and Large Hadron Collider, a Proposal, and Search for Future Influence from LHC, posted on the physics website arxiv.org in the last year and a half. According to the so-called standard model that rules almost all physics, the Higgs is responsible for imbuing other elementary particles with mass. It must be our prediction that all Higgs-producing machines shall have bad luck, said one of the authors, Dr. Nielsen, in an email message. In an unpublished essay, Dr. Nielsen said of the theory, "Well, one could even almost say that we have a model for God. It is their guess," he went on, "that he rather hates Higgs particles and attempts to avoid them. This malign influence from the future, they argue, could explain why the United States superconducting supercollider, also designed to find the Higgs, was cancelled in 1993 after billions of dollars had already been spent, an event so unlikely that Dr. Nielsen calls it an anti-miracle." You might think that the appearance of this theory is further proof that people have had ample time, perhaps too much time, to think about what will come out of the collider, which has been 15 years and $9 billion in the making. The collider was built by CERN, C-E-R-N, the European Organization for Nuclear Research, to accelerate protons to energies of 7 trillion electron volts around an 18-mile underground racetrack, and then crash them together into primordial fireballs. For the record, as of the middle of September, CERN engineers hope to begin to collide protons at the so-called injection energy of 450 billion electron volts in December, and then ramp up the energy until the protons have 3.5 trillion electron volts of energy apiece. And then, after a short Christmas break, real physics theoretically can begin. Maybe. But Dr. Nielsen and another author started laying out their case for doom in the spring of 2008. It was later that fall, of course, after the CERN collider was turned on, but a connection between two magnets vaporized, shutting down the collider for more than a year. Dr. Nielsen called that a funny thing that could make us to believe in the theory of Ayers. He agreed that skepticism would be in order. So, what they are saying in essence is the CERN collider is jinxed. Sure, it's crazy. And they have proposed a kind of test that CERN engage in a game of chance, a card-drawing exercise using perhaps a random number generator in order to discern bad luck from the future. If the outcome was sufficiently unlikely, say drawing the one spade in a deck with 100 million hearts, the machine would either not run at all, or only at low energies, unlikely to find the Higgs. That is the more probable outcome. Again, only at low energies, unlikely to find the Higgs. And CERN should not and is not about to mortgage its investment to a coin toss. But craziness has a fine history in a physics that talks routinely about cats being dead and alive at the same time, and about anti-gravity puffing out the universe. As Niels Bohr, Dr. Nielsen's late countryman, and one of the founders of quantum theory, once told a colleague, "We are all agreed that your theory is crazy. The question that divides us is whether it is crazy enough to have a chance of being correct." Dr. Nielsen is well qualified in this tradition. He is known in physics as one of the founders of string theory, and a deep and original thinker. One of those extremely smart people that is willing to chase crazy ideas pretty far. Another of Dr. Nielsen's projects is an effort to show how the universe as we know it, with all its apparent regularity, could arise from pure randomness. Well, it's not really random. Dr. Nielsen admits that he and the other authors' new theory smacks of time travel, a long-time interest. While it is a paradox to go back in time and kill your grandfather, physicists agree there is no paradox if you go back in time and saving from him from being hit by a bus. Theoretically, so they say. In the case of the Higgs and the collider, it is as if something is going back in time to keep the universe from being hit by a bus. Although just why the Higgs would be a catastrophe is not clear. Perhaps it does go against God, the Creator, the Lord God Almighty. If we knew, presumably, we wouldn't be trying to make one. We must always assume that the past influences the future. But that is not necessarily true in the physics of Newton or Einstein. According to physicists, all you really need to know mathematically to describe what happens to an apple are the 100 billion galaxies of the universe over all time, or the laws that describe how things change, and a statement of where things start. The equations work just as well, Dr. Nielsen and others point out, if the boundary conditions specify a condition of the future. For those of us who believe in physics, Einstein once wrote to a friend, "This separation between past, present, and future is only an illusion." Whether the collider has such a noble or humble fate, or any fate at all, remains to be seen. As a Red Sox fan, they say they know something about jinxes. So, in essence, these scientists or authors are calling the Hadron Collider, or CERN, and saying that it's jinxed. Well, I guess in a way that could probably or possibly be true. Perhaps the Lord God Almighty is running some interference in some kind of way. Because, well, humans, they don't know everything. They really don't. And maybe they're attempting something here that should not be done. It's not right. That is a real possibility also. And this is a sign a sign of the end times transition days. The transition is happening, increasingly, day by day.